Hello, grade 4 students. Mr. Waterman here with today's mathematics lesson. Today is Wednesday, October 28th, 2020. It is the end of October. This month has gone by very, very, very fast. Okay, so we have finished with our unit on fractions. We studied how to add and subtract fractions with the same denominator, with like denominators. And we have learned to add and subtract mixed numbers with the same denominators. We are finished with that. Now we are moving into a brand new unit. We are moving into our triangles unit. And you can see here from what I have just pulled my notebook down from covering, classify triangles. This is our new unit, classify triangles, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my notebook. I know you don't have your notebooks, so don't worry. This is what you're going to write into your notebooks when we come back to school, okay? So I go to page 1, my table of contents, and I'm going to write classify triangles. Okay, and that's going to be on page 4 of my notebook. All right, so let's continue. All right, so in my textbook, I am looking at page number 416, okay? And the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to read the vocabulary words to you that we're going to use in this unit. Don't worry, the same vocabulary words are down here. We'll look at those later on. Number 1, equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle. Number 2, isosceles triangle. Isosceles triangle. Number 3, scalene triangle. Scalene triangle. Number 4, right triangle. Right triangle. Number 5, obtuse triangle. Obtuse triangle. Number 6, acute triangle. Acute triangle. Okay, so these are our vocabulary words for you to remember. Our objective is to identify and classify triangles. So that's the next thing I'm going to write. I'm going to go to page number 4. Give me just a second here. I'm on page 4. I'm going to write my title again. This is Classify Triangles. And I'm going to write my objective here. Okay. Objective. This is what we are going to learn about. Identify and classify triangles. All right. Please listen and read along as I read. Triangles, this is under Learn About It. Triangles are used to build many things, even jungle gyms. That's what we play on outside of our school, where many kids climb to the top of it. Triangles help make structures rigid and strong. Please look here in the middle. You can classify triangles by the lengths of their sides. You can classify triangles by the measures of their angles. So you can do it in 2 ways. Okay? So what I'm going to do, So I'm going to write that here in my notebook. I'm going to move this up just a tiny bit so you guys can see. There we go. You can classify triangles by the lengths of their sides. Okay? We'll do that first. First, we have an equilateral triangle. All sides are the same length. That's why it's called an equilateral triangle. Next, we have an isosceles triangle. At least two sides are the same length. So here's our isosceles triangle. This side and this side, they're the same length. Finally, we have the scalene triangle. No sides are the same length. Okay? So we will write that down to help us remember. Okay? So here, I'm just going to draw a picture of my equilateral triangle. There we go. And if you have a ruler, please use a ruler. So, equilateral triangle. All sides are the same length. Okay? So then I have my isosceles triangle. Let's erase that there. Isosceles triangle. At least two sides are the same length. Okay, and after that, I have my scalene triangle. Okay, those are totally not the same. Scalene triangle, and that is no sides are the same length. Okay. All right, so now take that away. So now we go back and we look here. We look at our next part. You can classify triangles by the measures of their angles. Now pay close attention to the first one. A right triangle. One angle is a right triangle. Okay? Then you look at the next one. Obtuse triangle. One angle is an obtuse triangle. So remember, an obtuse triangle is an angle that measures more than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees, correct? And then finally, you have an acute triangle. All the angles are acute angles. Okay? Now, I make my note. You can classify triangles by the measures of their angles. Okay? So then you can draw your angles out. Okay? So I'm going to start this way. And there's my right angle. Okay? So I'm going to say right triangle. Move that up. Then one angle is a right angle. Okay. Then I have my next angle. Move that up a bit. Draw that out. Draw that out like that. Then I have an obtuse triangle where one angle is an obtuse angle. Okay, then finally, the last one is my acute triangle. Okay. And I'm almost at the bottom of the page here. So draw that up like that. Acute triangle. All angles are acute angles. Okay, so that helps me to remember all of my triangles. All right, so now we're going to look at our practice activity. And I will just move that textbook over here. And here's our practice activity. You'll have the scanned version that you can download and practice with. Let's look at the directions. It says, classify each triangle as equilateral, isosceles, or scalene, and as right, obtuse, or acute. Okay, so if we look at number one, if I turn it this way, this gives me a better example of what type of triangle this is. And just by looking at it, I see at least two sides are the same length. So what do we call two sides that are the same length? We call that an isosceles triangle, right? So number one, this is isosceles. ISOSCELES. And then we need to tell if it's right, obtuse, or acute. Well, there are no right angles in here, so it can't be a right triangle. Now, I'm looking, and I can see one of the angles is obtuse. So I think that this is an obtuse triangle. There we go. And that's how I do this activity. Okay? When you get to numbers 13 and 14, draw one example of each triangle described below. Number 13, an isosceles triangle that is also an obtuse triangle. A scalene triangle that is also an acute triangle. For number 15, what kind of triangle is shown? Circle A, B, C, or D. Number 16, Laurie measured the length of the sides of a triangle. If the sides were 4 inches, 6 inches, and 4 inches, was the triangle equilateral, isosceles, or scalene? Please choose the correct answer. After you have finished the practice, you're going to look at your homework. Classify each triangle as equilateral, isosceles, or scalene, and as right, obtuse, or acute. Look at the example here. The triangle has 3 sides of unequal length. It is scalene. The triangle has 1 obtuse angle. It is obtuse. For numbers 4, 5, and 6, draw one example of each triangle described below. Number 4, an isosceles triangle that is also a right triangle. Number 5, an equilateral triangle that is also an acute triangle. Number 6, a scalene triangle that is also an obtuse triangle. For number 7, please read the word problem. Misty drew a triangle. One angle is about 112 degrees. 2 of the sides measure 5 centimeters and 7 centimeters in length. The sum of the lengths of all 3 sides is 22 centimeters. What kind of triangle did Misty draw? All right, everyone, that's it for today's math lesson. You'll have everything that you will need. Stay safe and stay well, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.